Well, hello, EKN Nation. Welcome to a new edition of the EKN Debrief. It is episode number 106. It's Tuesday, February the 7th, well into the winter series, essentially, on both the East and West Coasts. Myself, Rob Howden, here with David Cole. We were trackside at the 2023 Challenge of the Americas, the opening round out at Musselman Honda Circuit in Tucson, Arizona. Fantastic weekend, great racing. We're going to dive all into it throughout this entire podcast, go class by class, lots of information to talk about, of course, including the international global debut of the EKN category. This week's show is presented by Skip Barber Racing School. Are you looking to step up in racing? Go from karts to cars with the Skip Barber Racing School. Skip Barber alumni are champions in every motorsport series, including Formula One, NASCAR, IMSA, and IndyCar. Get behind the wheel of a Skip Barber Formula 4 car featuring 160 horsepower turbocharged engine. Our highly structured and competitive Skip Barber Formula Race Series is the perfect platform to start your racing career so you can fulfill your dream of becoming a champion. With equalized race cars and a focus on driver development, your driving skills will determine if you end up in victory lane. Learn more about the Skip Barber Racing School at skipbarber.com or call 866-932-1949. All right, David, we flew back yesterday. You were up crack of dawn, I guess. No, it was probably dark the entire time you were at the airport, too. You're up 4 o'clock in the morning. You were up to go home.
I got to see the sunrise from the airplane. Yeah,
I thought you might. Yeah. It was a great weekend, though. Again, Friday, Saturday, Sunday race to get things underway with the Challenge of the Americas, the opening round of the program. First 2 rounds, obviously, of a 6-race series. Musselman Honda Circuit in Tucson, Arizona. But, Dave, I think the key thing, obviously, it's right in the logo, but the 16th season for the Challenge of the Americas. Andy Saisman and that staff, that family that's been together for so long, started back in 2008. It's just such a great program.
It is. It's a great program. Great to be back with the Challenge family this past weekend. You know, we had great weather throughout the weekend. A little windy on Friday, so that kind of reminded you why we hate Tucson.
It's so windy there, man.
Because when it's windy, it's terrible. But when it's not windy, it's better. It's so much better. Yeah. You don't feel as dirty and gross, and you're not you're not scared to go up the stairs to the scoring tower.
So you're not worried about all the tents blowing away.
Exactly that. Luckily we didn't have any of that Friday. I think everybody knows now with the many times that we've been to Tucson is you need to hunker down all the tents and make sure they are not movable and they're not going to blow away. So again, great to be back with the Challenge family, and amazing, a 16th year for the program. And again, many of the same people there, some new faces coming in to help, take Challenge to the kind of a new era. 15 years is a long time. So the 16th year, you get your driver's license, you start, things will change a little bit.
That's it. And like you said, some people have moved on to do different things, refocusing. Mm-hmm. So you get a couple new people coming in to different positions. Andy did this the last couple of years. You got the guys that are your primary race directors that are getting up in years. Are they going to want to keep coming out to the weekend? So you bring somebody younger in. They brought Tyler Brooks in to help out as well. So he could be kind of the heir apparent moving forward. And I guarantee more younger people are going to come in as the series continues. But they'll cap off kind of the overview just with the fact you were right. It was almost Chamber of Commerce weather on Saturday and Sunday. We had temperatures, mid-Saturday, mid-70s on Saturday. 79 was the high on Sunday. And it was literally blue sky all day on both Saturday and Sunday. Perfect.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, the weather was great to allow for good racing. It was interesting, how you said Sunday was much warmer than it was on Saturday, and it really stood out in qualifying. Yeah. I think it was like a 5, almost 8 degree temperature change from Saturday to Sunday in terms of qualifying sessions. So
I'd almost say 10 degrees, Dave. Literally, it was like low 40s to low 50s. It was crazy
give or
different.
take. Yeah, but so that was about the only difference was that it got warmer on Sunday. So it was great to get to enjoy that in an early February weekend.
You mentioned a lot of changing around with the program, and we've seen ebbs and flows. You and I always discuss ebbs and flows in terms of good numbers in mini 1 year, and then less numbers because more guys go up to the junior category, and we see a lot of that. But a lot of stuff happening on the West Coast we've talked about throughout the last couple of years, and SCUSA having trouble with their 125 cc liquid cooled category. Same with Rock. Almost everybody in the West Coast, David, that 125 liquid cooled tag engine, just not as popular as it once was, and that's why you're seeing the 100cc stuff grow. And man, I'll tell you, the challenge, almost the record in terms of the biggest field ever, 100cc, 37 drivers. That was for me so big to see on this program.
Yeah, near record-setting number. They saw 40s back in the early days of the road tax in the senior category. So yeah, to see that, obviously it's a mix. It's a mix of drivers we see at the national level, regional drivers, and then a lot of drivers we had not seen before. So it was a good combination of everything. It's what you expect for a winter program like this, because again, it's the start of the season. Even though it was a February weekend, it's essentially the first big major race on the West Coast of the 2023 season. So great to see the big numbers there.
So the evolution again was the fact that Andy and the challenge crew deciding to drop that Rock, the what they call the Rock GP engine. So no Rock Junior, no Rock Senior, no Rock Master. They went strictly to the 100cc category, and I got to say it really did pay off, because essentially they had about 48 drivers in total, because there was, I think, did they end up with 38 in the senior category? I know we have 37 there. I think there was
37.
38.
Yeah, there was an entry that did not make a session. So 37 by my number,
and 32 in junior, and the 8 drivers in the masters category. So not quite the number I said, but man, just big numbers in that move to 100cc, and it didn't take away at all, David, from the quality of the racing, because it was tremendous. It was aggressive. It got hectic at the end based on that racetrack. But I think that the kind of the 100cc category really gave us everything we wanted.
It does. It provides, and especially with this series allowing 2 different engine platforms.
Yeah,
I think that shows, because you had a mixture. I think aside from junior, where everybody's on the VLR, senior and master, you had both engines and in the hunt, in the battle. So it's great to see that, because that's always, when you see multiple engine platforms, that's always been the focus. Well, this engine's better than that engine, and so I think with the 100cc program, the way that the challenge has it, it's working out really well.
Shifter categories down just a little bit, as we've talked about in the Outlap Pro podcast. They ended up with 13 drivers in the Rock Senior Shifter, 12 drivers in Rock Shifter Masters. We'll get to the class by class, because there was essentially a one-on-one battle in each one of those categories. Hoping to see that new Rock Shifter Junior category make its debut, David. A lot of people last year were saying, man, if you guys offer a junior shifter, we'll do it for sure. And I know there was some tech stuff in getting, the parts needed to be able to roll out that program, but nobody answering the call for the first race. Let's hope that 1 or 2 come out for the rest of the program. Otherwise, I'll have to press the reset button and look at 2024.
Yeah, kind of a work in progress. Again, the restrictor's not readily available. There are some here, but again, just not a lot of time for people to get prepared. Again, that's, we always say that. Give everybody a year before you implement it, or make sure you have 5 drivers paid for the whole season. Again, it's no different than what you do at the club level. I don't know why we can't do this for national. Even when other programs introduce a new category, make sure the entries are going to be there no matter what. Because if they pay up and you don't have enough to fit it into the schedule, then you just remove it and refund everybody money back. Because again, it's just, it makes it's not a good look when you do that, but there's room to develop it and see where it goes, because I think there will be a need for it. And, the challenge is on top of it, trying to be the first one to do it. So
I agree. Yeah. Proactive.
We'll see what happens.
Indeed. One of the classes that is new and did have numbers, it was 9 on the weekend, ended up being 8 for Sunday, but the new OKN class in the CIK FIA, that kind of national level, that national spec OK engine debuted, David, with 8 drivers and some pretty good feedback.
Yeah, worldwide spec. It's a global class aimed again at a similar structure. To be more of a not necessarily a sportsman division, but a more affordable, more
reliable, right?
Reliable category than the older brother, the OK category. So it's good to see. It was interesting. We saw 2 different engine packages on track, but it became just one engine package with TM. So we'll get a little bit more into that, but yeah, great. Again, 8 numbers or 8 drivers. So it's a good start. It's a great start. We thought we were going to have 10, but it ended up being at 8. and it's not a non-championship class right now. So as this weekend was kind of a one-off, see where everybody's at, and go from there. So it's a good start. Again, the first program in the entire world to host a race for the OKN category. So great to make history with that. Got 2 drivers that won in a category on the weekend, so they put their names in the trivia books for the future. And it's sparking interest, and there's a lot of chatter on social media about it. So it's great to see that, and we'll see what happens when the class continues on and we get more manufacturers involved.
120 entries total for the opening round of the Challenge of the Americas. Again, we were at a Musselman Honda circuit this past weekend. Time to run in for our first break, folks. When we get back after this, we'll jump into the Paddock Pass, talk more about some of the stuff we touched on a little bit, but a couple other little bits we'll talk about as well.
You want the best, you just gotta roll with the best. Streeter Superstands. This is Jeff Wessel from StreeterSuperstands.com. You wouldn't put subpar parts on your racing cart, so why put that cherished ride of yours on anything but karting's #1 lifts and stands, Streeter Superstands. Streeter is the original and genuine manufacturer of the second-to-none Bigfoot rolling stands, stackers, uprights, and industry-leading Superlift. We also manufacture and sell the largest and always growing roster of trailer and shop accessories like tire, engine and jug racks, cabinets, spray can trays, bead breakers, and tons more to outfit any size trailer, team, and budget. Streeter Superstands has over 30 continuous years of experience. We're kart racers just like you and know that the Streeter name represents the absolute best in stands, lifts, and accessories for karting enthusiasts worldwide. Durability, affordability, unmatched quality, and customer service, that's what sets us apart from the rest. Check us out now at StreeterSuperstands.com. Roll with the best, StreeterSuperstands.com.
The 25th edition of the Rock Cup USA Florida Winter Tour continues this month with round 2 of the program heating up South Florida over the February 17th to 19th weekend. The series makes its debut visit at the new PK Entertainment and Race Park in Loxahatchee, Florida, which is located just outside West Palm Beach. Compete in any of the 10 categories featuring the Vortex engine line, from micro and mini rock to the VLR 100cc classes and the high-speed rock shifter divisions. The series is set to wrap up on the March 17th to 19th weekend with the final rounds contested at the Orlando Kart Center. Each of the 10 class championships will be decided with the final round of action in Orlando, Florida. Be sure to mark down the Rock Vegas event, set for the Rio All-Suite Hotel and Casino, scheduled for October 25th to the 29th in Las Vegas, Nevada. Visit RockCupUSA.com for all the details and information surrounding the Florida Winter Tour, Rock Vegas events, and more. For over 20 years, Greg Bell has been building race-winning power for kart racers. One need only look at his team, Leading Edge Motorsports. He's always built engines for his team, and the results have been wins at the biggest races in America, the SCUSA Super Nationals and the Rock Vegas events. The name on this program? Mega Power. This year alone, Bell and Danny Formel teamed up to sweep the Rock Shifter class on the Florida Winter Tour, all on a Mega Power engine. If you want to win shifter kart races, it's time to put Mega Power on your kart. Mega Power specializes in gearbox engines, such as the TMKZ, Rock Shifter, and IME Shifter, but with almost 3 decades of engine building experience, Bell develops winning motors for X30 and Mini Swift and everything in between. The combination of Greg Bell's engine building skills and his chassis tuning knowledge is a potent mixture. Greg's helped catapult many drivers to wins over the years, including Mercedes F1 star George Russell, who won the Supernats 14 in 2011 with Leading Edge Motorsports. Increase your odds of winning at this year's Rock Vegas or Super National events or throughout 2023 by calling Greg Bell today at 209-747-2613 to put Mega Power in your corner. Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network and episode number 106 of our EKN Debrief, our race report podcast, part of our EKN Trackside Live coverage. We were at the Challenge of the Americas in Tucson, Arizona this past weekend, and we'll jump now into the Paddock Pass, where we talk about a bunch of the stuff that happened away from the actual track itself. This edition of the Paddock Pass presented by CRG Nordam. CRG is one of the most iconic brands in karting, and we're primed and ready with new material and a never-ending focus on winning. CRG Nordam is the North American distributor for all CRG products. Based outside of Houston, Texas, CRG Nordam supports CRG dealers across the continent, reaching every corner of North America. Check out the CRG KT5 for tag and shifter racing, the Black Mirror for cadet competition, and the FS4 for Briggs. Longtime CRG drivers will be happy to know that the CRG Road Rebel, the standard in quality and performance, is still available. For more information on the CRG product line, head to www.cartcrg.com. And to inquire about a North American dealer near you, please email them at info@cartcrg-nordam.com. All right, David, let's jump into the paddock pass. I was a little early on a couple of things there. We talked a little bit about the OKN engine making its worldwide debut, the fact that we didn't have any Rock Junior shifters. Just a touch on it once again. Brand new categories brought in. There was interest last year. People were talking about it. The OKN's obviously a big discussion point around the world. Andy Say's saying, you know what? We got an opportunity to come out of the gate, provide some new opportunities for some drivers who want to run different stuff. Let's throw it in the challenge here to start the year. No shifters for juniors, sad. But like we said, I think a pretty good start with 8 drivers or 9 actually at one point in the OKN category, especially with not all the engines being available right yet.
That's exactly it. It's a manufacturer issue right now that we're dealing with the new OKN category. And again, I just said it about the junior. I wish they would have waited a year to make sure they had a streamline of product to be able to provide competitors with before launching this program. Again, I understand the concept, but I think they jumped out on it at it too quickly. And actually it is 9. So I did get that incorrect. So right. I somehow did not do that correctly, but sometimes we make mistakes and we get over it. With the OKN program, it's going to take some time to get grasp of its possibilities. And then with the road tax with the junior shifter category, again, just drivers or parents, really, because it boils down to parents, because they're taking care of everything,
making the decisions.
They need to step up. If they really wanted this, they should have came through with it. But again, the restrictor is not something that's readily available right now. They're in, but they're not. They don't have a lot of them ready. So we'll see. I think it's going to have an opportunity to be something. It's just a matter of what, is this really something that drivers are going to look at?
I think they will. I really do. I think that the Rock shifter engine is the opportunity to do this, right? That's the thing.
I think the Rock shifter engine package is the perfect platform for a junior shifter program, again, because there's no reason to do KZ. KZ is just an animal. It's just a beast. That's exactly what that engine package is. But I think this is the right direction. The downside is we're seeing a lot of these drivers who want to be race car drivers, but they're still 10 years old. They're already moving to cars already.
That's crazy.
Exactly. So the junior shifter category is a perfect opportunity for them to get accustomed to something that has a lot more power than they're used to, shifting gears, using a clutch, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of different aspects in terms of what will help them in terms of car racing. Again, we said it a long time, we're the old fogies that talk about 80cc junior and how amazing it was back in the late 90s and early 2000s, and all the different drivers that came up through the ranks here in North America and are now professional race car drivers that started in that program. So it's almost like there's too many different options for these kids, but I think junior shifter is something that could be viable down the road.
I do too. I really do. I think it's going to give these drivers more to think about than just being flat out driving around at 10, 12, 13, 14 years of age, right? It'll come. It's going to be a good program. Those are for the young kids. But we can talk about some of the veteran drivers who we had out, David, at the racetrack. One of the guys we talked about him quite a bit. He and I were actually messaging last night, and he told me he's addicted right now again. And I'm talking about Joey Guion from Overdrive, driver out of the Western Canada, came down to do some driving, ran in the Masters, Rock Master shifter class, and loved it. Like I said, David, we were messaging last night. He's addicted. He can't wait to get back down racing again. I love it.
Yeah, Joey is a longtime series supporter. He's been a
Mm-hmm.
part of the challenge for a number of years, be it sponsorship or bringing drivers down there or working as a mechanic, even
Engine
with
builder, remember as well,
an engine builder as well too.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of different aspects in terms of his support and part of the challenge of the Americas. So to see him behind the wheel was interesting. And yeah, I mean, even Saturday, you know, not exactly happy with the pace that he was putting down, but just enthusiastic about being behind the wheel and racing again. And again, excited about, you know, it's winter up there. There's not much racing going on. So again, to be able to come down to Arizona and be able to race and helps jumpstart the start of the new year, because it's just around the corner. Once the snow melts up here, there'll be trackside. So and he's got, you know, he's kind of doing his own chassis. That was cool to talk to him about, where it was basically designed for Briggs 206 racing and 100cc racing. But he said he's even putting Rotax engines on this 30 mil chassis, and he says it's working great. So he's kind of got a utility knife for a chassis up there for his region. So it's great to see that drive and enthusiasm for somebody that is around our age.
Yeah, you know what? And talking to Joey after Saturday night, he said he was kind of inspired by me running the Supernats. He said I was kind of jealous that you were out there running at the Super Nationals. I said I got to get back behind the wheel. So to see him come down, hopefully, I think he's going to be there for the entire program, which is great. And right, Joey was right there, just outside kind of the top three. He was fourth or fifth all weekend long, and just needs a little bit more speed. You know, he's got more time, I think, on the track at Phoenix. So hopefully, you guys will be able to see him there on the first weekend of March. Otherwise, pretty cool to see Joey down there. Now, one of the things I knew about the new carburetor, David, in Mini, I didn't know about the new oil in the category. What's the new oil program? I don't know if I missed that or not.
ENI. It's I believe it's recognized by Vortex as the official oil for Vortex and Ruck Cup racing. So Motul is no longer the spec oil for the series, so it's ENI. So not much. Again, when there's no issues, you don't hear about it, and there were no issues. So that's essentially why we didn't hear anything about it. Nobody talked about it. Nobody said that it had any complaints about it. So it's an easy swap in, swap out type scenario for that, and including the carburetor as well too for the mini categories going to the butterfly system. We didn't see or hear any complaints about it. And that was one of the focus points that Andy's been talking about over the winter, was all these competitors complained about the carburetor on the mini category. And now that there's a new carburetor, he doesn't have all these complainers coming back to race with the program with the new carburetor. So we'll see if, hopefully, people have the data now on the new carburetor. We'll hopefully see more racers at Phoenix and in Sonoma.
One of the things I thought was really cool as we kind of wrap up this segment of the Paddock Pass on our debrief here of the Challenge of the Americas event in Tucson was, normally we obviously a lot of drivers from the West Coast. We get a lot of drivers coming down from Canada for the program, and have over the last 16 years. The interesting one I thought this year was kind of the arrival of MPG Motorsports, which is a team based in Indiana at Whiteland Raceway Park. They did the Will Power program for a while. Now they're focused totally on the Kart Republic, along with a little bit of Race Factory with Race Liberante. But Chase Jones came out. It was interesting to look down, David, the entry list. Talk about guys. We normally don't do this in the challenge, but talk about guys from Indiana, guys from Ohio. They brought a bunch of their regular drivers for MPG Motorsports and made their debut at the challenge there in Tucson.
Yeah, kind of a mixture with the Race Factory drivers and the MPG drivers. So a combination of those two programs. Because Race Factory had been a supporter of the challenge last year, so they had already kind of had that footing. So you kind of combine both programs. But with MPG coming over, it was a great opportunity for Chase Jones to work with the EKN category. That's something they're going to run with in the Stars Championship Series here on the east side of things. So again, great opportunity to get some, rather than going to Florida, get some testing. And again, present something new and challenging for some of their other drivers who came with, such as Austin Olds and Henry Wheeler in the senior category. So again, it's a great opportunity. Again, if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, you're really not learning anything. So it's a great chance for these drivers to go to a brand new racetrack that you've never been to and get some seat time while also learning that, and get good competitive fields, especially in the 100 senior and junior categories.
Yeah, we saw Austin Olds really kind of work his way from just outside the top 10, top 15 kind of thing, get into the fight up front. He was in the top 5 at one point. So Austin learning a new track, getting pressured or getting pushed to be a little more flexible, did a great job. That wraps up the Paddock Pass, folks. When we get back after this break, we'll start diving into the race report. Our first categories to hit on will be the Rock Shifter and Rock Shifter Masters class. Don't go anywhere. It's the race report after this. It all started in 1994 when former successful kart driver Albino Parolin decided to move his passion for karting from the track to his small workshop. That's when Parolin was born. Fast forward 20 years, and Parolin's passion for the sport led to the company rejoining international competitions as a factory team in WSK and CIK FIA races, with the aim of enhancing the research and development process, immediately achieving notable results around Europe, North America, and Asia, becoming the CIK FIA Asia Pacific KZ champion in the same year. Parolin USA is North America's source for Parolin products, and we run a factory team at all of the major Superkarts USA and Rock Cup USA events. The Parolin chassis lineup for 2021 includes the Invader Shifter, the Le Mans Tag single-speed chassis for junior and senior classes, and the 28mm mini kart for the cadet classes. Parolin has been winning races all over the world, and it's on top of the podium in the USA as well, with drivers like Kai Sorensen, Mateus Orjuela, and Alessandro De Tullio. Get on the chassis that's winning. Drive a Parolin. For more information, head to ParolinUSA.com. Winning takes top quality equipment, flawless preparation, experienced coaching, and passion. And at Team GFC, we live our passion. Developed by American karting champion Gary Carlton, the GFC chassis has become one of the newest brands to reach the top of the podium in North America. GFC has garnered victories and championships at all levels of the sport since its debut at the end of 2018. Shifter kart drivers are at the front of the field in the GT14 frame, with the SS31 a consistent contender in tag and 100cc competition. Team GFC has a ride and drive packages available for all categories, including the mini and micro classes utilizing the GFC RR5 cadet chassis. These young pilots have the opportunity to be part of the Team GFC Young Driver Development Program. Learn from one of the best American karters with 28 years racing at the highest levels of the sport, offering personalized training on and off the track. Follow GFC Karting on Facebook and Instagram, or click over to gfckarting.com to learn more about joining Team GFC. GFC, live your passion. Acceleration Kart Racing is your first and only stop on the internet for karts, parts, and the safety gear you need to get you on the track. Visit shopakr.com for a great selection of karting equipment on a user-friendly website. Acceleration Kart Racing has aligned itself with many of the top manufacturers and distributors in the sport to ensure all the latest equipment is available to you, the racer. With over 20 years in business and customer support available 6 days a week, you can be confident about getting the right parts at the right price when you need them. Be sure to visit shopakr.com today or stop by their headquarters in Las Vegas. Make sure to follow Acceleration Kart Racing on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest specials and new arrivals. Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network, episode 106 of our EKN Debrief, as we take a deep dive into the Challenge of the Americas opener in Tucson, Arizona. We're into the race report right now. Rob Howden alongside David Cole. This race report presented by Odenthal Racing Products. Motor mounts are critical to producing 100% of the power your engine has to get it and you on the podium each and every time. Odenthal Racing Products provides the best in the karting market today. Odenthal Racing Products is a family-owned and operated business with decades of karting experience, providing products and unmatched quality and value for the karting market. Check out their Pro Series mount for 2-cycle engines and their 4-cycle Easy Set for the Briggs & Stratton 206 power plant. Head to odenthalracing.com to find a dealer near you. Odenthal Racing Products, made in the USA. All right, DC, let's jump into the Rock Shifter class. Rock Shifter presented by Sweet Tech. Here's the headline: Gulick and Williams each sweep around.
It was the two of the drivers we thought were going to be in contention all weekend long, with Jacob Gulick, Macy Williams coming back as Gulick, a former winner last year, and Williams right there kind of on the verge of podium finishes and competing in the top 5. Saturday was all Gulick. It was a sweep by him, setting fast time in qualifying, winning the pre-final, and leading each and every lap of the main event. Macy Williams was right there on his bumper the entire way, but ended up coming up 4/10 short at the checkered flag. So the GFC driver picking up his second career Challenge of the Americas victory.
Yeah, Macy Williams finishing second, as you said. Connor Wick in third, Micah Hendricks fourth, and Ethan Boer had the fast lap of the race, capping off the top 5 for GFC. And for me, the cool factor was over the last 5 laps, I think Macy, 5 or 6 laps, she was about 0.7 of a second back at one point. And then over the final laps, that kart kept getting better and better. She was consistently a 10th faster, and she knocked it down from 7/10 to 6 to 5 to 4. Eventually locked onto the rear bumper, David, of Gulick, of Jacob, but just wasn't able to get close enough at the end to make the pass. But I think it probably did set the momentum going into Sunday.
Well, that certainly helps when you know you're right there. You have the speed to obviously match the leader. That helps transition over into the next day. Maybe do a little homework overnight to be able to find that extra little bit of speed, and that's exactly kind of what she did. Macy came out, set fast time in qualifying, was able to grab the whole shot and lead the pre-final and drive away to the race win. And then again, same thing in the main event. Got a better start than what Gulick was able to, as he fell, I think, back to third in that opening corner. So that allowed Williams to get a little bit of a gap. Gulick got into second and just was basically, you look at the lap times, like they ran nearly identical laps the entire rest of the distance, within a 10th or 2, their own times were within a 10th or 2, probably like the 48.0, or I can't remember the lap times. Let me see if I can get there, but it just seemed like their lap times, the delta between their slow and fast was like maybe 2/10. So they were like machines out there and setting those same lap times over and over again.
And Macy did it again, right? Exactly like she did on Saturday. She kept getting faster and faster and faster at the very end. And even though Gulick was kind of dialing it up, she was able to go quicker, and kind of that gap that was like maybe 2 to 3/10 of a second. She was able to make it almost 8/10 by the checkered flag.
Yeah, lap 15 was her quickest, which was the overall quickest, and then Gulick did his on 16 and did it 8:22, while she did it 8:13. So again, right? Just super close to each other.
And I know Macy was in her social media post thanked Ron White Racing. I think she was working she had a rental engine from Ron White, I believe, for the weekend.
Correct.
So and I was mentioning with Ron a little bit yesterday. He was super proud of her and just so excited, because the bottom line is we really haven't even mentioned this. This is the first time that a female has won the primary rock shifter, the senior shifter category on the challenge. Pretty big.
Yeah, first time to have a female driver win this category. We saw Sabre Cook win the DD2 category and win championship there. So not necessarily the shifter. That's not a shifter category. So we'll call this the real shifter category with 6 speeds. But exciting, because we've had Hannah Greenmeyer. We've had a number of other different female drivers in this class. And so now she gets the honor of being the first female driver to win in this category.
Yeah, big. As I mentioned before, Connor Wick was kind of the best of the rest. He was got right there in P3 all day on Saturday. Sunday, he was back a little further, but over the last couple laps, kind of dug things in and was able to work his way up to third on the final circuit. So Wick, essentially exactly the same podium, people on the podium, just a little shaken up a little bit. Wick gets a pair of third place finishes for GFC. Ethan Boer, who was 5th on Saturday, ends up 4th on Sunday. A pretty good run for that young driver for the Gary Carlton crew. And then Flynn Lazier, driver who's been doing some off-season testing in the Indy Next category, decided he wanted to get some more seat time, hooked up with Ron White. And he was kind of a top 5 runner throughout the weekend. Did a great job. He was battling with Henry Barton as well, another CRG driver. But in the end, Flynn able to come home P5.
Yeah, just missed the speed on Saturday and was able to pick it up on Sunday to cap off a top 5 finish.
So it was kind of Gulick versus Williams in the senior category. In the Masters category, very similar, 2 drivers battling out. Master Shifter brought to you by Ron White Racing, and here is the headline. Vitolo doubles up with first series victories.
It was really, as you said, a 2-driver fight like we saw in the senior category. This time it was Jonathan Vitolo in the GFC and Nick George in the Aluminos machine. They were the 2 drivers that really stood out all weekend long. Vitolo was able to get the first bout with the fast time in qualifying, but George came back and was able to win the race in the pre-final. The main event,
he hole shot on big time. And he got the whole shot to start the pre-final on Saturday and was able to take the lead into 1. George.
Yeah, and had the whole shot in the main event, but Vitolo was able to grab the lead back after completing the first circuit. And basically from there, very similar to what we saw in senior with the 2 drivers kind of matching lap time after lap. Vitolo was able to set the fast time with a 6:02 with George running a 6:57. So again, very similar. It was actually Vitolo's last lap that he was able to put down that quick lap of the race en route to his first series victory by just over 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, he was super happy with getting that first win. Wanted to get that victory, stand on top of the podium, come back Sunday to do it again, and you have all that momentum. And it kind of got deflated a bit out of the gate as Nick George was the fastest driver in qualifying, but Vitolo David would fight back in the pre-final again.
Yeah, was able to get the win in the pre-final, and then in the main event was able to get the whole shot this time and hold off George there for a wire-to-wire victory. This time extending his lead to nearly 2 seconds, but again, running fast lap of the race with a 4.67. George was only able to run a 5.56, so a little bit slower than what Vitolo was able to put down during the race, and it showed in the difference with nearly a 2-second margin of victory for his second of the weekend.
Yeah, really the exact same podium and exact same top 4. Pat Beckley did a really strong job on Saturday. Put down really good lap times running for GFC to give him 2 carts on the podium there. Beckley even dialed it up even more. Got even quicker on Sunday. Still was P3, but turned even better lap times. Joey Guillon, who we had talked about, had a great battle with Morn Von Tock, TB kart driver on Saturday. Able to get 4th. Von Tock was in 5th, but Von Tock qualified on Sunday, but didn't run the pre-main. I'm not sure why he didn't run the pre-main or the main. Guillon then kind of was clean and green for 4th again, but then there was a good battle further back for 5th, 6th, and 7th. David Jones coming out with that one.
Well, actually, it was Guillon that was 3rd at one point. I think
yes, he was.
Beckley
right.
wasn't as quick off the line.
Exactly.
So Guillon had 3rd for a little bit, but Beckley, just really good pace for him. Only 0.4 off the top 2 guys for fast laps. So not bad for a Supermaster guy. Again, top Supermaster driver in the field if you were to look at that age bracket.
And the best battle on the racetrack, to be honest, was 5th, 6th, and 7th, right?
It was during the Sunday main event. There was 3 drivers going back or kind of just nose to tail. Not quite sure who was able to pull it off, but it was David Jones on that Aluminos.
Yeah, when our buddy Bill Powles was in that fight. They were scrapping it. That was a lot of fun to watch. So there's your first 2 of the 7 classes that we'll head into here. After this break, we'll come back. We'll talk OKN. We'll talk Mini Rock as well. So stay tuned. More to come on this edition of the Debrief. Ready to step up your game? Joining the Rawlison Performance Group is the obvious choice to take your racing to the next level. Industry-leading driver development is provided by our staff of multi-time national champions, Super Nationals winners, and Team USA members. And at the same time, RPG continues to be a national-level powerhouse race team. Our goal is to help you raise your game and win races. We work with all age groups and are focused on developing those cadet and junior drivers who are ready to take the next step in their racing program. Rawlison Performance Group has set a new standard with our in-house engine program, AVP Engines, headed by Alex Vincent. AVP has become the benchmark in IAME competition. We have the largest OTK inventory that follows our race team, providing trackside parts at all the major events in North America. RPG also offers multilingual support with French, Spanish, and Portuguese-speaking staff. If you want to fight for championships or want to improve your skills and your chances to win, the answer is to call RPG at 503-260-4514. The Rawlison Performance Group. We race to win. 2019 marked a new era for the Cartlift brand. The company that Tim Coyne owned and operated since 2003, one with a long tradition of quality products for the karting industry, was purchased by Ted Fashing and his business, Stockholm Karting Center, in October of 2019. Stockholm Karting Center Inc. has added the Cartlift brand to their very successful Triple T Race Products brand that has been fabricating parts for the drag racing industry for the past 25 years. We're small enough where the owner answers the phone and every call is important to us, but we're large enough to get the job done. We pride ourselves on the quality and personal customer service that we provide on the phone or at the track. Cartlift stands, as you know, can be found at racetracks all over the country. If you race alone, or if you're a parent with a cadet or junior driver, let our one-man winch lift make your race days easier. Position the hooks under the rear bumper, push the button, and your cart is raised into position and you're ready to go. We have traditional cart stands, single upright storage stands, cart lift stackers for storing 2 carts at once, tire changers, and skid plate kits. Cart lift stands are available at the finest kart shops around the country, or you can order online at cartlift.com. For more information, give us a call at 877-777-8020. That's 877-777-8020. Get a cart lift and leave your crew at home. History, success, family. Those are the 3 words that can describe Comet Kart Sales, one of the longest tenured karting businesses in the United States. The family-owned operation located just outside of Indianapolis has provided carts, parts, and services for thousands of racers in the near 6 decades of business. Their online store features everything you need, continually adding new parts to their product line. From full karting packages, new engines, spare or replacement parts, and safety gear, find it all at CometKartSales.com. Their Comet Racing Engine service has won multiple major events and championships over decades of karting and continues to offer the best trackside service in the industry, specializing in IAME X30, IAME Swift, and other 2-cycle power plants. Make sure to head to CometKartSales.com or call them at 317-462-3413 to be part of the Comet Kart Sales family today. Welcome back to episode 106 of the Debrief here on the EKN Radio Network as we have our race report look at the Challenge of the Americas Opener in Tucson, Arizona. The race report today brought to you by Odenthal Racing Products. Let's go into the OKN category. Obviously, a lot of eyes on it. We, of course, were watching, and I'm sure a lot of guys in North America were watching, and I guarantee there were people at the CIK-FIA offices that were watching it as well. This was, as we said, the global debut of the OKN category, the first ever race ever. So everything was a first top qualifier, first race winner. But here is the headline. And again, OKN presented by P1 Engines. The headline, Vasquez and Nash become first OKN winners in the world.
Yeah, as you said, Rob, that it was kind of the focal point for everybody online to watching and seeing what was going on at the challenge event this weekend. Aside from all the regular categories, was the debut of the OKN engine package. Blake Nash was the driver to secure the first fast time in the qualifying session, but it was Jesus Vasquez Jr. winning the pre-final. So both of those drivers got their names into kind of the record books to begin the day. Going into the main event, however, it was Jesus Vasquez that was able to kind of get out front early and basically walk away. Nash had a little bit of troubles early on, wasn't able to stay on Vasquez's bumper. It was kind of a group start. There was a lot of contact, so I think that was kind of what helped Vasquez early on. You had Chase Jones in the mix there early, Dustin Salaveria as well. But Vasquez was able to kind of get away in the early couple of laps and establish a pretty good lead. And it was actually 3 seconds by the time the checkered flag waved, with Blake Nash finishing in the second spot, with Vasquez earning the first ever main event victory for the OKN category.
Yeah, cool to see a couple of the Sony karts there as well, with Nick LeDuc and his karting collective team. Dustin Salaveria and Chris Martin were pretty quick throughout the entire weekend. They were top 5 pretty much the entire time. Salaveria ended up finishing in the third spot. Chase Jones who we talked about with MPG Motorsports, was in the 4th spot, and Chris Martin rounded up the top 5. It was a rough day for Chase Jones. I think he actually cracked a chassis, I believe. Two chassis. He did not come back. He did not run not run on Sunday, so he cracked 2 chassis. All right, so a chassis change, I believe, for the main event, but he ended up finishing P4 anyways.
Yeah, the pre-final, they noticed it was cracked really bad, and I don't think he was going to race, but they found a Kart Republic, Mr. Wiener, Steve Wiener, had one that he ran last year. So they took all his Chase Jones engines and everything, put it on that. Even had the same Steve Wiener bodywork on from last year. It just the chassis didn't react. They had the same setting. They put the same settings on. It just didn't react, and it looked like it was a wild bull out there.
It was a bucket bronco for sure.
So but when they got it done after he held on to finish 4th, but got done and noticed there was a crack as well in that one. So they elected not to run on Sunday.
So speaking of Sunday, out of the gate, really, we talked about Vasquez winning on Saturday. It really was Blake Nash kind of all day long on Sunday. Qualified on the pole, won the pre-final, and in the main event kind of got settled in nicely and was able to pull away to the race win. Jesus Vasquez, David, it was very, very close at the start. With obviously it was an all Nash Motorsports front row, Nash on the inside, Vasquez on the outside. Jesus ended up finishing in second, but it didn't finish that way after some issues at the start.
Yeah, they called Vasquez jump start, so that cost him 2 positions and basically took him from 2nd to 4th. It was kind of close.
He was about 6 inches ahead of the line. I saw the picture of it
at the green flag at the commitment. Okay.
I don't know.
That's right. I don't know. I didn't get into it because I didn't know until we got to the podium that he actually got a penalty for it. So. From my vantage point, because I did a video, I was watching from up the top, it looked like he got back behind by the time they got to where the flagman was. So I don't know what the ruling is. I'm assuming that it's by the time they got to the commitment cone. So it's a tough one. Yeah, that's a tough penalty to get. Obviously there's drivers pushing you from behind. And different scenarios like that. So a tough penalty. Obviously he could have went and tried to get the victory. But it seemed like they were two kind of evenly matched. Vasquez did had fast lap, but he had a little bit of advantage in the draft of Blake Nash, but still on track, a 1-2 finish for Nash and Vasquez.
Yeah, Salaveria and Martin, the Sody Kart drivers, finishing 2nd and 3rd with that penalty, which changed up the order. Alex Keys from Alex Keys Racing out there running on the Charles Leclerc, ends up finishing P5. And it's one of the interesting things, David, that we talked about a little bit in the Paddock Insider, was Andy Saisman going around and checking all the weights, how much ballast each driver had on, how much over each driver was. And Alex Keys was one of the drivers. I think he was like 12 pounds over. He weighs like 180 pounds, something to that effect. So he was kind of running around with a little bit of his own disadvantage throughout the weekend.
The weight, 14 pounds. As we talked about in the Paddock Insider, 170 is about the magic number you want to be for a driver in this category. Everybody was, within 3 or 4 pounds aside from him. You had Chase Jones was 348 and he's about 176. So again, just a little bit. If you drop 6 pounds, he'd be two pound within 2 pounds of the minimum weight. So,
there you go.
Look, and then you look at Blake and Jesus. They were the 2 smallest drivers coming into the weekend.
They got like 40 pounds on, right?
They were the 2 drivers who had 40 pounds on. So, I mean, it's interesting, you could lower this weight, but then you'd take a lot more drivers out. So I think it's a good number, 340. Again, we talk about it all the time. I'll get on my little soapbox is that the weights are already too high as it is. So
I know.
If you're 200 pounds, you're not racing karts professionally.
Does this class need to be like 17 years of age and older, so we don't have the 12-year-old 80-pound kids wanting to run in it?
This that's an interesting concept, because I don't think that's what the FIA is looking to do. I think the FIA is looking at it as, if you're not a driver who can afford to go international or national racing or international racing, this is your national class, because the costs are limited. The engine is limited. It's not exactly the monster that the OKN or OK category is. I would say it's very comparable to what we're going to see with spec racing. The cost might be a little bit more, I think, just because people are going to want to work on them. Really, in all honesty, I think they'll be able to last long. But speaking with the drivers and the way it reacts, I think obviously we saw it in the times. I mean, they're very close to what shifter carts are doing out there, to where they're nearly almost 3 seconds quicker than the 100cc. So I think this is an elite category. If we're looking at the United States itself, I talked with Andy, I talked with you, and I talked with another team owners and stuff like that. I think this is a pro category. I really do. I think for this engine package, you put your pro drivers in it. You leave the other 125 categories or even the 100cc to drivers that are still making their way up in terms of performance.
Yeah.
And shifter drivers, if they don't like shifter, this is the great, or, drivers who you think should move up to shifter, but they don't want to. Do you think this is
the Ryan Norberg class?
Oh yeah. Like a Jarzakrak, Ryan Norberg,
Paulie Massimino.
If Jarzakrak were to race again, Paulie Massimino,
Tulio, that kind of stuff.
Well, let's think about it this way. What about all those guys in USF 2000 and Pro and US Pro that come back to race karts? This is that category for them.
Yeah, I agree with that. Because
it's like, as we talked with Chase Jones and Alex Keys, it reminds you of driving a car, the way you have to brake it, because it's engine braking. It's not. You're not
freewheeling it with the clutch.
It's not freewheeling it with a clutch. So, I really do. I really think this could be the pro category. Again, we have different engine manufacturers. The chassis brands and manufacturers can get behind it. I think this and KZ could be the pro categories.
We'll see. There you go. David Cole said it.
I have many other ideas, but I'm kind of keeping them myself.
I have no doubt.
To see what we can come up with for 2024.
Yeah, we already talked about that. We had a lot of conversations about David's F1 concept charter idea. We'll talk more about that later. All right, let's go into the mini rock category presented by the aforementioned Alex Keys Racing. Here's the headline for mini rock: Guidera and Balog earn career firsts.
Yeah, again, this category, we talked about it in the outlap. We're going to have a number of new faces at the front because we had a lot of graduates move up from the mini category into junior racing or beyond. And so we got to get introduced, and Matt, I can't say his last name. Guidera. Matt Guidera opened up the door and said, "Hello, I'm here." Qualifying, fast time on the CRG. So it was good to see that. And then pre-final, good little race with Luca Popescu earning that victory. Popescu?
I had to ask. I said I was saying Popescu.
You keep saying Popescu, so I go by what you were saying.
But I fixed it on Sunday. Popescu.
I didn't hear you on Sunday.
Yeah,
so
I
ignored
Popescu. You were out of the track the whole time. Listen, I'll give you props, Dave, but you were busting your ass. Like you were literally you were either on track or videoing guys after the races. So yes, you probably didn't hear me announce it at all.
I heard Popescu on the mic, just so you know.
Not on Sunday. Not on Sunday.
So
Popescu.
Say it, Popescu. Popescu. Okay, so like it's spelled, Popescu.
Popescu.
Okay. So yeah, he was able to win the pre-final on his Nash Motorsports Energy machine. In the main event, it was a good battle for the lead early on, and until Guidera was able to kind of just escape. He had the lead, and they're racing behind him.
They were racing behind him.
Everybody was.
Behind him. Oh my!
He's like, "Well, thank you," and never made an error. Put the tires where they needed to be, and was able to drive away to a 3-second margin of victory for his first challenge win.
And I'd love to go back. I would bet lap 16 they were all together. Like literally, they were all racing together. Everybody caught back up. And all of a sudden, when they started racing, Matt got out into the lead, and literally they raced so hard over the last lap and last two laps. That's where that 3.2 seconds was, because they were side by side everywhere. So again, it was really fun to watch. Popescu ends up getting in second. Braden Wagner in the GFC rounding out the podium. Jackson Gibson was running a Gallard chassis with Austin Elliott and Speed Sense Motorsports on the weekend. He ended up fourth, and Paxton Romero rounding out the top 5 on the opening day. It was some hectic racing, let's put it that way, in Mini Rock, especially near the end of both races.
Yeah, and like you said, they were just catching them, and then they started racing again for seconds. So yeah, it certainly. Again, he was in the driver's seat the entire most of the distance once he took over the lead on lap 6. So it was a good race. Again, stayed out of trouble and kept it clean and got the victory. Sunday was, like you said, very similar to what we saw. Again, a lot of good racing. Gadara was able to set fast time once again in qualifying, with Popescu earning the pre-final win. So kind of a very similar way it results in terms from Saturday to Sunday. The main event, however, was a little bit different. This time we had penalties kind of decide the way things would end up. It was a 4-driver fight until a little bit of contact dropped Brandon that's the name, Wagner. Brandon Wagner. So he got kind of spun around on the exit of turn 4. That left 3 drivers fighting for the victory. That included Popescu, Jackson. Oh my gosh, why can't it? Jackson Gibson and Gabriel Balog. So those 3 drivers kind of went back and forth over the second half of the race. And it was Papas. Oh my God, I can't see. Now I can't. I got it drilled in my head.
You'll get
Popescu was able to grab the lead and come across the line as the provisional winner. Unfortunately, the contact with Braden Wagner early on in the race cost him 10 seconds. That would drop him from the victory to the 4th position, and that would allow the Canadian Gabriel Balog on the JV kart to score his first challenge victory in what is his challenge debut on the weekend.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, Balog for Race Lab on that Jacques Villeneuve chassis getting the win. Jackson Gibson, who was in the fight there throughout the day, finishing in second. Paxton Romero in 3rd. Popescu in 4th. And Cam Becker rounding out the top 5 in the Kart Republic. All in all, great to see a couple of young drivers getting those wins. And we'll, of course, look forward to Phoenix to try to keep it all rolling. Folks, another quick break in the action. When we get back with the Race Report presented by Odenthal Racing Products, it's time to roll through the 100cc categories: Senior, Junior, and Masters. In karting, it's important to be supported by the right people. With over 40 years of experience in the sport, Trinity Karting Group has everything you need to make your program successful. We do it all, and we do it right. Trackside support and arrive and drive programs at many of karting's biggest East Coast events, full product sales and service, and professional coaching from our experienced staff. Trinity Karting Group is a full-service operation based at the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati, which gives us access to our custom-designed driver training facility. This allows us to offer private one-on-one coaching to take you to the next level. From arrive and drive and coaching programs to the parts you need, let Trinity Karting Group provide you with customer service and a racing experience second to none. Trinity Karting Group is an official Kart Republic race team, providing full trackside support at all the major USA karting events, including the SCUSA Pro Tour, United States Pro Kart Series, SCUSA Super Nationals 25, and other events throughout the 2022 season. TKG has in stock Kart Republic, IAME, MG and Avinco tires, and more products for those in Ohio and the Midwest region. Trinity Karting Group has a long history of the sport, a winning pedigree, and we're dedicated to driver development. We take pride in our professional approach and our positive attitude. Let us build a custom race program for you. Give us a call at 513-421-4463 or check us out online at trinitykartinggroup.com. Fast, fair, and fun. Ignite Karting offers you all of that at an affordable price. Ignite Karting utilizes the spec Margay Ignite K3 with a Briggs & Stratton 206 engine and a Hoosier R80 tire. Everyone in the junior, senior, and masters classes compete on the same Ignite K3 chassis, which puts all the emphasis squarely on driver development. Additionally, Ignite Karting is accessible at the local, regional, and national level. Special events for the 2023 season include the Ignite Majors, which begins with the annual trip to the Daytona International Speedway as part of the WKA Daytona Kart Week as part of both the sprint and road racing events. Those in the Midwest can enjoy the regionally based Ignite Challenge, which just finished up a record-setting season in 2022. Local club programs have also been established in other states all across the country, from Idaho to Texas, Nebraska to New York, with more tracks and clubs joining the Ignite karting program. Be part of fast fun and great memories with Margay Racing at an Ignite track near you. All information on Ignite events and Ignite kart packages, including dealers in your area, are available at ignitekarting.com. Get off the couch and out onto the track in 2023. Ignite Karting. Fuel your passion. Made in the USA. That's exactly what you get from Precision Karting Technologies. Based in Detroit, Michigan, PKT brings over 35 years of manufacturing experience to the sport of karting. Their passion for the sport began focusing around the Kid Kart platform and has expanded every year with hundreds of products designed to put you on the podium. Precision Karting Technologies is known around North America for their successful line of axles, available in all age groups. PKT manufactures a number of engine products for Comer, IAME, Rock, Rotax, and the popular Briggs & Stratton 206. A wide variety of chassis components for the many brands in the sport are available through PKT, including hubs, pedal risers, skid plates, and other hardware for your kart. Axle straightening, chassis adjustments, engine service, and specific CNC machining projects are available through their Motor City headquarters. To learn more about the many products and services available from Precision Karting Technologies, head to pktaxles.com. Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network and the 106th edition of our EKN Debrief, as we are doing our Race Report podcast on the Challenge of the Americas opener in Tucson, Arizona. Again, Odenthal Racing Products sponsoring our Race Report today. Senior 100cc presented by Forward Direction Motorsports, and here's the headline. Hand and Lech give GFC double win weekend.
Yeah, the largest category of the weekend was won by GFC both days, but it was a battle to the very end in each of the main events. And a number of different drivers all in the mix as well, too. It was Dylan Archer that came out and set fast time in qualifying, so it put him as the first target. Ended up being Frankie Mossman, however, that was the driver on the move and the driver to beat after winning the pre-final. Essentially, it was a kind of a bigger pack in the main event. I'm kind of not remembering how this race went.
So I'll pick it up then. Remember, again, back and forth like crazy. Let's just go right kind of the last couple of laps. It was a 4-driver breakaway near the end with Mossman leading, Lech in second. Chase Hand worked his way up into third after getting by Lydia Small. And Lydia had a really strong weekend. She was good all weekend long with Nash. They were kind of top 4. Coming down to the end, they're all lined up. Lech is literally just patient, didn't try. Mossman goes, of course, starts to go on the defensive, right? So running some of the tighter lines, covering down the inside of a couple of corners. All comes down to the run down the back straightaway. Lech goes to the inside, tries to make a move to the inside of Mossman. A little bit of contact, bumper to the kind of left rear of Mossman. They both end up going off the line. And it just from P3, it was exactly what you could do from third. The big over-under for Hand. He went way wide, got a better run out. Both those drivers, both Mossman and Lech, were kind of holding on, coming through the corner. And that allowed Hand just to roll out and end up getting the position. I believe Lech came across the line P2. There's a ton of stuff that happened. Lydia Small actually got a penalty as well for contact at one point. But that's kind of how it shook down. Chase Hand was in the right place at the right time, got to third, and really all he could do with those two drivers battling it out in turn number 11.
Yeah, I'm looking at my notes here real quick. So Lech was still, Lech was.
He stayed on the racetrack. He was able, I think Frankie.
So Lydia, so that's what it was. Lydia was actually able to get by both of them as well, because both Lech and Mossman went off to the side. Yeah,
I don't think Lech went in the grass. I mean, in the dirt though. There's no grass.
No, he was just in the marbles and didn't have the momentum. So Hand had the momentum. Lydia had and followed him through. Was able to, I think, just edge out Lech for the second spot at the line.
And she got the penalty. And she got the penalty, David, for the wreck in turn 1 at the start. 10
seconds for contact. I wasn't sure where it was, what the issue was there.
There was a big wreck at the green flag. Josh Campbell got turned around. Remember at the very start, going into one, and right in the middle of the racetrack, and they stacked probably 8 or 9 drivers got stacked up in turn number 1. Lydia got the penalty for contact there. That dropped her back.
Yeah. So Mossman actually ended up falling back to 5th at the line as G3 Argyros. Or how do you say his name? Argyros.
I finally asked Argyros.
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 Was just able to get him at the line as well. So the penalty to Lydia Small ended up moving G3 up to the 3rd step of the podium, Mossman into the 4 spot, and then Connor Chen in the Track Magic putting 3 GFCs in the top 5.
Yeah, Connor was running around the top 10, top 15 all weekend long. Had a really good run. Ended up, obviously getting paid off there with the top 5. Roll back on Sunday, and Letch, of course, looking for retribution, right? He wants that victory. Qualifies on the pole, but the pre-final was Mossman going back to the front. Mossman and Letch were just right there. In fact, they end up racing again exactly the same, kind of coming to the end of the race on Sunday. But it was even wilder on Sunday.
But it was more people. I mean, that's really what it boiled down to, because as you said, it was Letch on the bumper of Mossman the entire distance, just waiting for that opportune moment. Unfortunately, I think he made that move with 2 laps to go, made a move, took over the lead
and won.
And that kind of, allowed the second group to close in even more. And then they raced a little bit more at the start of the last lap. So it was basically, I want to say about 7 drivers that were right there in the mix as they went through the S's and got over to turn 4, and it was like 2 wide, 4 deep.
Well,
going
and
into turn 5.
Remember, it was Chase Hand who had the issue, right? They changed the engine, went to the VLR, so he had to start last in the pre-main. Drove up to 10th in the pre-main, and he was leading that second group with Tim Carroll, and a couple other drivers were in there as well. But up front, it was Letch, Mossman, and Varney again, I believe. And then everybody came up, and now, David, we can talk about the crash of the S's. Where one.
Well, let's get into the Hand thing a little bit. He had 2 IAME engines, elected not to go with either, thus getting the penalty to go to a Rock engine for the day. So it was because he went to a 3rd engine that was not checked in. So that was the reason he started at the back of the pre-main. So again, made that way 37 to 10th, which is again a great drive in that sense, and then avoided any of the opening lap issues. And as you said, was kind of right there in that second group, essentially kind of leading the way. You had Tim Carroll, you had Josh Campbell, you had Kane Martin, and you had a couple others as well too. Kind of right there. So last lap, they go through 4. They're like 2 by 4 going into turn 5. I think Letch finally is able to escape in that corner, turn 5 with the lead, and they still go 2 wide through the S's. Well, they get to the second part of the S's, and a little bit of contact you would expect going 2 wide. That actually sends Varney off in the dirt on the inside, which I think, what's the turn going onto the straightaway? Turn 9.
Turn 9.
So essentially, he's going backwards through the dirt at the apex in turn 9. Luckily, avoids everybody except Mossman, who he kind of slides up into. So that takes those 2 drivers out of the race in that corner. That gives Letch kind of the path and the easy run to the checkered flag, and that allows Chase Hand to make his way up into the second spot through the final couple of corners to essentially give GFC a 1-2 finish, with Letch earning his first victory since Sonoma in 2021.
Yeah, Tim Carroll ends up getting the 3rd spot, which was perfect because it says Timothy Carroll on live time. And I'm like, is it actually Timothy? And I asked him at the end, I said, and he gave me the response I always get. What do you want me to say? Oh, I don't care. I said, no. What do you want me to call you? Timothy, Tim? He says, they also call me Timmy. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to go with Tim. So Tim Carroll did a great job. He was right in the fight. Ends up P3. I think his first podium as well in the challenge. Josh Campbell coming home in 4th and Cade Martin in 5th. Was it Varney that went off, or was it? For some reason I thought it was Mossman's was the driver who went off the racetrack and backwards. It was actually
no,
Varney?
It was Varney. It was Varney that went off in the track.
I saw a bunch of video. It was crazy.
Yeah. I saw a different video as well too. So
did you see the onboard from Campbell where he just comes flying back across the racetrack? Wow.
Yep.
It could have, and to collect only 1 cart, was probably.
That's what I was saying. It was very lucky. It could have been a worse incident than what it was.
Yeah.
Again, but that's part of racing. Unfortunately, Varney and Mossman got the bad end of the stick on this one.
Yep.
And hopefully their luck will change when we get to Phoenix, where we'll have more dirt.
They both showed good speed in the weekend, though. Let's put it that way.
For sure. Yeah. Mossman, right? I mean, he essentially won the pre-final, but pushback bumper penalty dropped him down the order, gave Zachary Clayman DeMello the win in that race. But Mossman was really, had the pace all weekend long to be able to win, just didn't have the luck when it came to the last lap.
Indeed. Let's move to Junior 100cc presented by Nash Motorsports. Here's your headline, Dave. 2 career first wins for Eversman and Eggleston.
Well, like we talked about in the mini category, the junior category has a number of drivers that are looking to make a name for themselves. And we did that on the weekend with 2 career first wins. The first came on Saturday. We saw last year's winner, Alexander Gonzalez, essentially set the pace for the category, able to put down fast lap in qualifying and win the pre-final. So, and we talked about it in the outlap. We expected him to be one of those drivers to keep an eye on and kind of set the pace. And he was doing that until about lap 6 or 7, when the Comcard drivers of Archer Eversman and Spencer Smith were able to get by Gonzalez, and they were able to essentially break away from the rest of the field. Gonzalez was able to kind of recover from getting passed by multiple carts. I think he got pushed wide into the marbles.
I think he went off at one point. Yeah, almost off. Yeah,
and so had to regroup and was making his way through the second pack and actually ran down both comp cart drivers towards the end of the race, just unable to kind of make any effort to be able to get by either of them for position. But it was
because they were battling each other so hard.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because again, again, you're fighting for your first win. Both Archer Eversman and Spencer Smith are fighting for their first win at the challenge.
Yeah.
So they kind of went at it, going for the victory.
Yeah.
But it was
teammates at Forward Direction Motorsports. You want to win.
You want to win, and that's exactly what Archer Eversman did. Was able to hold off Spencer Smith there in the final closing laps to pick up the victory. And as you said, gave Forward Direction a 1-2 finish in the category. Gonzalez able to join them on the podium in the 3rd spot. Kyle's Drysdale into the 4th spot. And then Eric Doan, a great drive for him into the 5th spot. He actually had some troubles early on. Made his way up from last in qualifying. I think it was a disqualification in qualifying. Work his way up through the pre-final and ended up finishing in 5th in the main event.
Yeah, Squish, I think, in qualifying, last in the pre-main. And Eric Doan running with Speed Sense Motorsports on the Xpree, his first junior race ever, essentially has to come from 32nd on the grid and works his way up to end up P5. Just a tremendous...
Got up to 17th in the pre-final. So 32nd to 17th and then 17th to 5th.
Fantastic, right? Yeah, we talked about that, right? In his first ever junior race, he could have been in the top 10 and really not passing anybody. Got a chance to do a lot of overtaking throughout the day on Saturday, which I think is good for him. On Sunday, we actually had some different guys in the mix. Issues with Eversman and Smith in qualifying. They weren't quite there in qualifying. Then they had some troubles, I believe. I want to say Smith might have got taken out at the very start of the pre-main. They had trouble in the pre-main, so they weren't anywhere near the front of the grid for the start. So we weren't going to see a recovery. It was actually Nix Eggleston from Ruthless Karting, David, who came out of the gate and qualified on pole.
Yeah, he was able to set fast time in qualifying. And then Keegan Kaminsky, another driver who we thought we were going to see much of at the front. He had issues in the main event on Saturday, so that took him out of the race early on. And then was able to come through and be among the quick drivers on Sunday. I think he was 2nd or 7th in qualifying, and then found more speed for the pre-final to take that victory. Eggleston essentially was the driver leading the pack in the main event. Had the lead, had a number of drivers behind him, including Kaminsky, who was 2nd for most of the race. And then it was Gage Korn and Austin Olds, the 2 MPG Race Factory drivers that kind of worked together, got themselves into the 2nd and 3rd spot, and then attacked Eggleston for the win or for the lead late in the race. And then in the final closing laps, Eggleston was able to respond, get himself back up into the lead. And on the final lap, as they're fighting behind him for second, he was able to kind of escape and get an 8/10 advantage by the time he got to the checkered flag, scoring his first series victory in Junior 100.
Yeah, Keegan Kaminsky ended up in second. Gonzalez, another run to the podium in third, so a good start to the season for Gonzalez. Graham Trammell was fourth, and Austin Olds, as David had mentioned, hanging on for P5. All in all, some pretty good racing in the 100cc junior class. And like we saw in a number of our categories, really a couple of the categories, one or two drivers up front. This one really kind of was a dominating run again in Master 100cc, brought to you by Ruthless Karting. And David, you'll go into the streak itself, but here's the headline. Kunches extends win streak to 7.
Yeah, you come in as the defending champion, you're going to be the driver to beat, and that's exactly what Ian Kunches was in the Forward Direction Motorsports Comp Cart entry. Saturday was a perfect performance by him, setting fast time in qualifying, winning the pre-final, and then driving away to a 5-second margin of victory in the main event. So a 6th straight victory after winning 5 last year, sitting out the last round because he had already won the championship, and then coming back to win the opening round race. Had Christopher Mann as the lead challenger. He was the driver finishing in the 2nd spot aboard his Ruthless Karting Esprit. Daniel Jones ended up finishing in 3rd on the CRG ahead of one of last year's top contenders, Preston Newberry, and then Ron Schoonover in the JH Motorsports LN Racing Kart entry, showing great improvement from a year ago in now what is going to be his 2nd season in karting, driving to a top 5 finish. So a great performance by Ron on Saturday.
Yeah, Ron made his debut actually last year in karting with JH Motorsports at the Challenge, and has raced a bunch of stuff over the year and is really starting to get some speed, which is good. Coming out of the gate on Sunday, we're kind of thinking, yeah, Kunches is probably going to get this going. Again, the streak ends up being 7. He won the first 5 races last year, sat out race 6 and ran senior instead, having already won the championship. So he comes out of the gate and wins again. It was actually David Chris Mann who threw down a fantastic lap in qualifying, but Kunches came back and retook it again, followed him like crazy. Like I think he was like just on his rear bumper the whole time in the pre-final, and made the pass late in the race to get the pre-final win in the pole for the main.
Yeah, exactly that. And Christopher Mann, we saw him race, Derek Wang and Billy Cleveland all last year in the Master Rock category. So we know he has the speed to be able to be there and battle for victory. So this is kind of what we were expecting. The margin was a little bit more than what I expected on Saturday. So it was great to see kind of these two guys going at it nose to tail. And as you said, Kunches was able to pick up the pre-final win late in the race after following Mann for much of the race. The main event, however, Mann was able to jump out to the lead as Kunches had a little bit of issues and fell back to 4th in the opening circuit. It only took him, though, 9 laps to get back into the lead position, able to get by Christopher Mann and, again, drive away to a 7/10 victory as Mann was unable to challenge him in the late laps of the race.
Yeah, midway through the race, too, some good racing between Luke Tracy and Daniel Jones. Actually, Ron Schoonover was in that fight for a bit. Schoonover ended up coming out of the opening lap kind of chaos, P2. He was 2nd, and eventually got reeled in by Newberry, and then I think he got reeled in by
spin. Actually had a spin in the double rights. So
yeah,
they were racing for position. Yeah.
I think he got spun around myself.
That's what I said. He got spun.
That's what I'm saying. He got spun out. Anyways, when it all shook down, Luke Tracy ended up finishing in 3rd, Daniel Jones in 4th, and Newberry rounding out the top 5. All in all, for Kunches, he was able to kind of settle in, like you said, fell back, but by the midway point took over the lead, and when it was all said and done, it's 7 straight victories. Obviously we don't want to throw Ian under the bus, but we got to get some big guns to come out and battle with him. We got to put a bounty on his head for Phoenix.
Well, he obviously, he's looking to pull the Derek Wang. Maybe he's going for 4 straight championships. So
and he raced senior too. Remember that?
He did go back to back. So it was because Masters 100cc was first in the order, and then Senior 100cc was right after. So he would jump from one kart to the next. He actually ran the VLR in Master, and I think the IAME in Senior. I'm looking up his results right now. Ian Kunchez, he was involved in that crazy opening wreck in the Saturday main event for Hunt Senior 100 cc.
Okay. Yeah.
And then Sunday 12th, so drove up to 12th spot. So
that's a lot of laps, a lot of back to back. That's 40 laps back to back.
It's a lot of racing, and the main just for the main events, because don't forget the pre-finals are long too as well.
16 exactly. So he put the laps down for sure.
32 plus 40. That's a lot of laps in one day.
All right, folks.
And it was only 4/10 off in terms of fast time in the main event on Sunday.
Yeah, I know he's fast. All right, let's go to our final break. When we get back, we'll wrap things up. We'll look at the Constructors Championship, and we'll have a look at the EKN Trackside Live race calendar. The new face of competitive karting in the Pacific Northwest region is RaceLab. The full-service karting operation is located at the state-of-the-art Kartplex facility in Oliver, British Columbia, Canada, providing everything you need to hit the track or put yourself in a successful driver development program. RaceLab is the official North American distributor for the TB Kart chassis brand, providing the full range of models from kid kart to shifter kart. Villeneuve Racing Karts is their flagship product, available only through RaceLab. The brand carries the name of Formula One champion and Indianapolis 500 winner Jacques Villeneuve, with each model produced by TB Kart. Kartplex, the home of RaceLab, is situated on the grounds of the Area 27 Motorsports Park. From full arrive and drive TB Kart rentals to leagues and competition karting, the facility provides a new home to developing the future stars of motorsports, all beginning at Kartplex with RaceLab. Follow RaceLab on social media on Facebook and Instagram, or load up their website at www.theracelab.ca to learn more about TB Kart and Villeneuve Racing Karts. RaceLab. Race with us, win with us. Established in 1999, PSL Karting has become a powerhouse within the karting industry for North America and around the world. PSL Karting is your complete source for all Burrell Art products as the North American importer, providing this top quality product through both their expansive dealer network or through the PSLkarting.com online store. Whatever you need is available 24/7 online, including safety gear, parts, components, and full karting packages. All three brands, Burrell Art, Ricardo Kart, and Charles Leclerc Karts, are in stock and ready to hit the track. Grab your winning chassis for any category by visiting PSLkarting.com to find your nearest dealer. PSL Karting is always looking for interest in new dealers and teams to help create new business relationships. Drivers looking to take their talents to the next level can join the Burrell Art North America race team, competing at all the major U.S. and Canadian events this season. When you're ready to win, go with PSL Karting. You can buy all the latest and greatest products on the market, but when you're karting to win, it boils down to one thing: you, the driver. Gain the knowledge and abilities by investing in yourself at the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy, and you'll find those extra tenths of a second you need to put yourself on the podium. The school was established by SuperKarts USA Hall of Fame driver Alan Rudolph, with decades of victories and championships in multiple forms of the sport, including other disciplines of racing. The Alan Rudolph Racing Academy, located at the Speed Sports Racing Park in the metropolitan Houston area, is designed to teach driving skills at all levels. The instructors of the Academy have decades of racing experience and educating drivers of all ages. Classes at the Academy will teach the concepts and skills needed both behind the wheel and off the track. From the beginning kart racing experience and intro to karting courses, to their advanced 1-day and 2-day courses and karting clinics, the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy can improve the skills of any driver. For more information on the specific programs that the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy can provide for you, head to speedsports.com and click on the Racing Academy page. Be sure to follow the Academy on social media by searching for Alan Rudolph Racing Academy. All right, time to wrap up this edition of the EKN Debrief. Rob Howden alongside David Cole as we cap off the coverage of the opening round of the Challenge of the Americas from the Musselman Honda Circuit in Tucson, Arizona. David, let's wrap things up. The bottom line is solid numbers to open the season, 120 entries. Obviously, I think Andy would love to have had some more guys in the shifter card category, but it has to be buoyed by great numbers in junior 100cc and the second biggest field ever with 38 in the senior 100cc category, because there was 40, I think Andy told me, in a Rotax senior class a number of years ago. Really good numbers in 100cc.
And also, I think it's more so the new names and new faces that are at the challenge. We saw a lot of that this weekend, so I think that's a good thing moving forward. Again, you got to continue to keep trying to grow the pie instead of taking one slice from one pie to another. And so I think they're continuing to try and grow the challenge pie and keep growing that program. Again, you have drivers that leave, but you have new drivers coming in. So that's good to kind of keep the numbers at least consistent for now.
Dave, you touched on it when we talked about EKN. There was essentially two engines that hit the track. Both the TM and the Modena were actually used at the event. One driver elected to drop that Modena and move to the TM. But the IAME's coming online pretty soon. We'll see that. We're going to see the Vortex engine power plant as well. So the engines are coming. There'll be more of them available once we get to Phoenix in March. What are we going to see for that event? Are we going to see some new guys? Are we going to see some new engines? What do you think?
Well, I think we might see IAME. I'm not sure about the Vortex. I think the Vortex might come in a little bit too late in February, but we'll have to wait and see. Maybe we'll see more drivers. That's because of being closer to SoCal. Maybe we'll get a few more drivers that are interested in the program.
Yeah.
And again, it'll be March. But March is a busy month. So I'm not exactly sure where we're going to see. I think we'll see majority of the drivers that were there in Tucson return for Phoenix, because again, whether you're working with an engine builder or just trying to develop a new engine package, this is something brand new. So the more seat time you have, the better to better understand what it's going to do in terms of long term and how it acts on race weekends. So I'm not sure. Hopefully we'll see IAME. Maybe we'll see more Modena as well, because now they'll have time to kind of have a full month to develop and understand what will work, what doesn't. Again, just kind of wait and see. I'm not exactly sure what we'll see, but I would expect to see very similar numbers, if not a little bit more.
One of the things that we saw, I know you and I were up top there in the tower, and I think you had a picture of somebody's pushback bumper. Interesting thing about COTA, they only penalize for a full pushback bumper, not that half or partial pushback. What are your thoughts on that? What do you think?
Well, it caught me off guard. I don't remember that as being a rule with the Challenge Americas. Again, I don't need to read the rule books. I just need to report on what happens on, right. on and off the racetrack, and I get so used, when pushback came in, I'm used to seeing, 100. I was talking to Shelby. She goes, I think we have a lot of bumper penalties. I go, well, 120 in one day. Is that a lot? And she's like, that's way more than what we get. I go, well, that's what you get at USPCast or SCUSA or other events that do both partial pushback or full pushback. So I almost, would it help or does it hurt? Because again, the pushback bumper thing is still evolving. People are trying to find its limits, trying to find its defaults, trying to work it your way around it. There's a lot, racing is a very interesting, intricate sport in the way people approach it. So I'm almost wondering if a full pushback is a better way to go. So it just caught my eye on and my memory on it. And I'm wondering, just putting it out there, maybe that's better for the future.
Interesting. Yeah, it feels like a column, David. Feels like a column. Let's go into the Constructors Championship. 7 different brands scoring wins over the 18 victories on the weekend.
14,
14. Yeah, 7 classes, 14 weekends. Big one for GFC, and they have been very strong, David, at the challenge last couple of years. 5 wins for GFC in Tucson.
Yeah, you picked up 2 in Master Shifter. You pick 1 in the Rock Shifter. But I think really it's the double win in Senior 100cc that is making Gary Carlton and the rest of the GFC and Formula Works crew very happy with that. They're always looking to continue to show that they're a full product chassis line, both shifter, senior, junior, and cadet. So it's a great start for them to pick up 5 victories on the weekend. Compcart picking up 3, so good overall weekend for them, including 2 by Ian Kunchez, but really the junior victory by Archer Eversman in the forward direction motorsports entry. So it's good for them. EOS picking up 2, CRG 1, Xperia 1, Gallard 1, and the JV kart with Gabriel Ballard with the Race Lab picking up a first victory at the Challenge of the Americas for that brand.
All right, folks, let's cap things off and have a look at the EKN Trackside Live race calendar, let you know where we're going to be over the next month or so. This one brought to you by Margay. Are you interested in renting a kart at one of the biggest karting events in 2023? Do you want to be part of the fastest growing series in the sport? Check out Margay Racing Spec Ignite class and their Arrive and Drive packages. Nothing matches the affordability and the competitive level of the Ignite program. Just one set of tires, national level caliber drivers, where the best driver wins over the best equipment. Bring your safety gear and Margay will take care of the rest. This year's Ignite majors include the WKA Kart Week Daytona, a dash at Daytona, the USAC Karting Elkhart Riverwalk Grand Prix, and the Rock Island Grand Prix on Labor Day weekend. And there are 5 Ignite Challenge series running around the country this season. For more information, please visit ignitekarting.com today. Get off the couch and into a race seat in 2023. All right, David, essentially over the next, I guess it's month, we got a couple of races. Nate Dean and I hopping on the plane in a couple days here on Thursday to head to the AMR Homestead Miami Motorplex in Homestead, Florida for the final 2 rounds of the SuperKarts USA Winter Series. That is February 10th to 12th. And then you'll be rolling solo out to the Phoenix Kart Racing Association for the second rounds. The rounds 3 and 4 of the challenge.
3 and 4.
Challenge of the Americas in Phoenix, March 3rd to 5th. I got a conflict, so our good friend Mike Smith is going to take over the PA for that one.
Yeah, I won't exactly be alone. I'll have Mike Smith to handle the race call duties. I'll be with the Challenge family as well too. So excited to get back to the Phoenix Kart Racing Association facility. A great track to watch racing. Great area with Phoenix. And so rounds 3 and 4 at Phoenix, a very familiar racetrack we've been to a number of times. A lot of competitors been to a lot of times. And we'll see kind of how things unfold. You know, we have the championship battle started, and we'll see who's able to either step up to put themselves in there or who's able to establish themselves as the championship contender heading into the finale.
That's it. I'm literally home for 2 days here on Tuesday and Wednesday. We do the debrief today. You and I will do, along with Nate Dean, we'll do the Outlap tomorrow, our preview podcast of the upcoming SCUSA Winter Series event that we're heading to on Thursday. So a couple of races coming for you. As always, Outlap and Debrief podcasts, all our social media that we'll have throughout the weekend, the coverage there, the race reports, and of course, all the live coverage. I'll be joining Xander Clemens and his Kart Chaser crew once again at the SuperKarts USA event. And of course, as we said, we'll go full EKN Trackside Live for the Challenge of the Americas on the EKN radio network, either on the downloadable app for your mobile device, or you can always tune into ekartingnews.com/live or /radio to hear the broadcast as well. But David, that's it. Final thoughts?
The 2023 season's underway for me. I know it already started for you, but
it was your first race. That's right.
It was my first race since Vegas. So I was excited to be trackside again. My feet held up, and I think I totaled over 110 stories I climbed on the weekend.
Yeah, people don't realize. So to get up into the tower that we have at Tucson, I think I counted like 38 or 40 steps, and it's straight up. We're not talking like regular stairs you come up. And David, of course, after every race was down and back up and down and back up. And your legs definitely got to work out, dude. That's for sure.
They did. I'm just glad my foot survived with the issues I have with it and everything else. But got some sun. Yeah, enjoyed 70-degree weather. And again, looking forward to that come March in Phoenix.
Folks, thank you so much for tuning into this edition of the EKN Debrief. We certainly appreciate it. Again, we got more coverage coming of both of those events. We'll have the Outlap coming up soon. But again, thank you so much for tuning into the EKN Radio Network. We do appreciate it. It was a fantastic weekend in Tucson. Dave, of course, looking forward to Phoenix. And he and I together will be back for the finale in Sonoma in April. Looking forward to it, of course. Thank you so much again, folks, for tuning in. On behalf of David Cole, my name's Rob Howden. Bye for now.